What up, world? It's your boy Mark Walter Ward, Super Facts Show, Super Facts Network. Today we got with us upon the release of his outstanding new book, Rise of Kobe, longtime journalist, third-time author, Mike Sielski. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well, Mark. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. Did I say your name right?
Sielski. Think of like an otter going down a hill. Sielski.
Sielski, got you. All right, so I really just wanted to go over your career. I like to think maybe I could have made a halfway decent journalist, so I'm always interested in it. When did you first know that you had a talent for writing, and after that, when did you know that it was something that you could do professionally?
Well, I did pretty well in writing in high school, and liked it, because it could help me get my assignments done, basically. I didn't think much more of it than that. When I went to college, I went to LaSalle University in Philadelphia. I knew I wanted to do something in sports media, but I didn't know what. Did I want to try to be a play-by-play guy? Did I want to write? Did I want to work for a team? Whatever. And I was writing for the student newspaper, and I discovered I loved writing. I loved the feel of covering a sporting event, mostly basketball, but any kind of sporting event. I loved the reaction that I got from people when they read my articles. I really liked that aspect of it. And I like the feeling of finishing an article or a book or a column or something like that. You feel like you accomplished something. There's an old saying like, I don't love writing, but I love having written. You love the feeling of being done with the process. And so that's when I got hooked in college and decided that I really wanted to write for the rest of my life.
Well, just out of curiosity, this is out of the blue. Have you ever heard of The War of Art?
I have not.
It's a book. I forgot the author's name. It's terrible, but he believes that writing, you should treat it as if there's an actual living muse, whether you believe that or not, and you should treat it absolutely like a profession. And he schedules a time every day that whether he has something to write or not, he sits down and he sits there and writes. And I think his name's Steven Pinkerfield or Stephen Prescott.
Steven Pinker, maybe.
Yeah,
could be.
It's the art of war, but it's a great way to help people get through procrastination, particularly in writing, but in creativity in general. So then you find that you enjoy this at the student newspaper, and you over the years parlay that into a columnist. I grew up in the DC area, so to me a columnist holds a special affinity from Christine Brennan, not Maury Povich, Shirley
Povich, yeah.
Shirley Povich, Michael Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser,
yeah.
And then I know the Philadelphia Inquirer is a paper of quite notable repute, especially sports wise. So what was your journey to becoming a sports columnist for that, which must be a dream come true for somebody who likes to write about basketball?
It was a dream come true. My hero growing up was a guy named Bill Lyon, who had the job that I have now. And he mentored me, and we had a friendship, relationship for 25 years. Just a great man. And I took the path that it used to be the common thing to do back in the 80s and 90s, and it isn't so common anymore because media is so different.
Right.
But I got a job at my local newspaper covering Friday night high school football and, basketball in the wintertime and softball and baseball in the spring, and taking box scores over the phone for high school swimming and all of that stuff, and worked my way up from there.
When did you get the nod? Like how did you start doing a couple guest columns or?
Well, I got a full-time job at the Wall Street Journal in 2010. An editor I knew there got hired. They decided they wanted to cover sports more. And so they bulked up their sports section, bulked up their coverage of New York City, and they hired me to cover the New York Mets. And so I covered the Mets for a year. I covered the New York Jets for a year. I covered a lot of hockey. But I was in New York, and it was right in the thick of everything.
Right.
And that was great. And then after I was there for 3 years, the opening came up at the Inquirer to be a sports columnist. And they actually reached out to me and said, would you be interested in the job? And I jumped at it. I took it right away. It's the job I always wanted, my dream job. And I've been there ever since. That was the fall of 2013.
Okay. So you didn't cover the Eagles during TO or anything then, huh?
I did. I was a columnist for a few newspapers in the suburbs around Philly. Basically the same job I have now, except at a smaller place. And I was at that Super Bowl when TO played on the broken ankle against the Patriots. I covered the whole thing in 04 and 05, where he the helicopters were following him and he was doing the sit-ups in his driveway and all of that. It was a crazy time, but it was a lot of fun to cover, man. It was always something to write when T.O. was around.
Do you think T.O. gets a fair shake in how he's perceived?
It's funny you say that. I was the first writer in Philly after that whole contract situation came out where he wanted a new contract from the Eagles after playing so well in the Super Bowl. I was the first writer to defend him and say the Eagles should absolutely give him a new contract. And if anybody else on the team complains, tell them the next time you have 9 catches on a broken ankle in the Super Bowl, you can renegotiate your contract too. And he's a great, great player. I think he's unpredictable. He can be, I've seen numerous sides of him. I did a one-on-one interview with him while he was in Philly, and he cried, he laughed, he was serious, he was joking, he was all kinds of stuff. But he's a great player, and it took him way too long to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was ridiculous.
I totally agree. So since we're speaking of memorable Philadelphia sports moments, were you at the infamous Derek Fisher step over, game 1 of the NBA Finals?
I was not. No, I was not. I was covering the Sixers at the time, kind of on and off during that playoff run. I was not there to see AI step over Tyronn Lue. Although people remember that moment, like it's one of the 10 greatest moments in Philadelphia sports history, because that Sixers team just captured the city's imaginations and hearts because they played so hard. They played great defense. Allen was he was a fireworks show every night. And when he hit that shot and stepped over Lue like that, it was like a middle finger to the Lakers and to everybody who thought the Sixers didn't have a chance. And then the Lakers spent the next 4 games showing that the Sixers really didn't have a chance. Yeah. But it was fun nonetheless.
Hey, let me ask you this. A lot of people argue who the first point forward was. And you know how connectors become a popular term in basketball these days?
Yeah, sure.
I think that Aaron McKie was the first connector.
He would be up there, man. He was a terrific player for a long time, especially that 2000-2001 season. He was the 6th man of the year. He could do anything. He could shoot from the outside. He could defend. He was tough. He was smart. That's one of the all-time favorite Philly teams, that Sixers team. I mean, we were talking about it before we came on, right? You get the league MVP in AI, 6th man of the year in Aaron McKie, defensive player in the year in Dikembe Mutombo, coach of the year in Larry Brown. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's quite a, I don't know, a triumvirate plus one. Is it like a quadumvirate?
A quadumvirate, something like that, yeah.
Got you. I ain't gonna hold you too much more about the career thing. Just out of curiosity, what was the most memorable game you attended?
Probably not basketball related. Well, I'll give you 2. I was at Super Bowl 52 when the Eagles beat the Patriots, with the Philly special with Nick Foles and all that. Oh, wow. But I also covered Villanova's winning the national championship game when Chris Jenkins hit the shot at the buzzer to beat Carolina. I
thought you was about to say 1985. I was about to ask.
Oh, no, I ain't that old.
I was about to ask you for some skincare tips or something like that, brother.
I wasn't even 10 years old then. No, I'm thinking about 2016 when Ryan Arcidiacono dribbles the length of the floor, flips the ball to Chris Jenkins, and he bangs that one from the top of the key at the buzzer. That was really cool to cover.
Just a quick Q&A. Most charismatic athlete you've covered that played for a Philadelphia team?
Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson.
Not even any hesitation. Will Daryl Morey bring a title to the Philadelphia 76ers?
No.
Would you want to see James Harden become a Sixer?
Just because it would be interesting to cover, yeah.
Okay. Do you want Ben Simmons to remain with the team?
I don't care one way or another.
Me too, kind of, as long as he don't come to the Wizards. Did you know that Peter Vesey follows you on Twitter and he rarely follows any basketball related people? Are you friends with Peter Vesey?
I had no idea that Peter followed me. I knew from about 4 years ago, I did a story about a guy named Michael Brooks, who was a great college player at my alma mater at LaSalle, and then had a incredible story kind of after that. He had an injury in the NBA, and I did this gigantic story about him. And I know Peter saw that and really liked the story, but that's it. I've never actually spoken to Peter face to face or over the phone or communicated with him at all. So I appreciate everybody who follows me. And if he does, that's awesome.
I felt the world suffered a loss when he stopped covering TV. I used to love listening to him on NBC. But
yeah, he was part of the '90s NBA, right? I mean, that was it. You know, with the whether it was Jordan or the Knicks or the Rockets back then. I mean, you know, the theme music on the NBA on NBC, it was all part of the tapestry.
And the great nicknames, man. I miss the nicknames. Like now you gotta give yourself a nickname, or the nicknames
That's
are just
right.
all like abbreviations, like C Webb.
Mm-hmm. No, you're exactly right. He was very creative with that.
All right, well, there we go. Mike Sielski, like an otter on a mountain, talking about his career in journalism. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.